This is a story about a departure from a job I had for 8 years into a stretch of unemployment, quiet anxiety, and a slow self-redefinition. This episode will not tell you how to turn your life around. It offers no slogans, no instant hope, just one person trying to resurface after sinking. If you are feeling stuck in your career, lost in transition, or navigating the world as someone queer, perhaps this might keep you company for a while. 欢迎来到云游记 Welcome to Journey of the Cloud Walker. This is the very first time I'm making a program. In this episode, I would like to talk about a recent departure I experienced, one that came from the workplace, from structural forces, but also carried a hint of fate. I spent 8 years working as a technical white-collar employee in a traditional industry. The job was neither a dream nor a torment. It was more like a default path, something I followed by habit, without much thought, until it became my routine. In the years before the pandemic, the industry was still fairly active. Work was demanding, but at least it had a sense of direction. After the pandemic, performance began to decline, and the atmosphere at the company became increasingly gloomy. Several colleagues who had been there for over a decade began to leave. That was when I realized the warning signs were real. I simply didn't expect it would be my turn, and so soon. I received the restructuring notice via email. Of course, we had already attended several meetings where they spoke of organizational adjustments and difficult periods. But when you actually see that email in your inbox, it still takes you by surprise. To be honest, I felt remarkably calm in that moment. I didn't feel numb, nor did I burst into tears. One thought simply crossed my mind. It has finally come. It wasn't a dramatic pain, but a composed sense of inevitability. I had no illusions about being retained. Long before the redundancies began, I had already been assigned to a team with a little profit potential. The company explained that my tasks could be redistributed. I didn't argue. I simply followed the process through. There was nothing theatrical at my company. Everyone simply said good luck and moved on. I chose to live quietly. During my final days, I carried out the handovers, cleaned out my computer, and said a proper goodbye to my colleagues. I didn't post any emotional messages. A peaceful farewell is also a form of dignity. Those days, I felt somewhat hollow inside. Not a sharp sadness, but a subtle, lingering sense of, there truly is nothing left to do. It felt a little like graduating after years of wearing a school uniform. Suddenly, there are no alarms, no schedules, but also no idea where to go next. And after I left, in the first few days of unemployment, my life entered a kind of standby mode. I still kept to a routine. Woke up, went out, browsed the job listings at the library, updated my CV. In the afternoons, I went to the gym to sweat things out, then came home at a set time. It wasn't because I was especially disciplined, but because I knew that if I allowed myself to collapse, the emotions would flood in all at once. I sent out applications. I attended interviews. None of them were successful. That feeling of not even being the backup candidate really shakes your self-worth. There were days when I genuinely felt useless, like an expired product, left on the shelf, undesired. Whenever I scrolled to the bottom of the job listing pages, I would feel completely defeated. It felt as if my career might end right there. I considered changing industries. The problem is that after 8 years, my skills are closely tied to this one. Starting over is frightening, of course, but to be fair, it's not entirely impossible. Still, The process of redefining oneself is mentally exhausting. And if you happen to be LGBTQ+, the anxiety grows an additional layer. In my case, I wasn't out at work, not because I didn't accept myself, but because I didn't see the need. It was a typical company, not an LGBTQ+ organization. Work was work. My sexual orientation had no bearing on my performance. Have you ever seen a straight man or woman declare, "Hello, I'm heterosexual" on their first day? If someone did that, it would seem rather odd. But silence doesn't mean there is no suppression. It's not a constant ache, but you're aware that a part of you is not welcome there. That real part of you remains outside, in your off hours, or in your quietly nurtured side projects. When job hunting, I struggled with this too. Not every company is LGBTQ friendly, and one never knows who will be reviewing the application. Furthermore, the truth is that some people will use who you are as a reason to question whether you are capable. It's not how things should be, but it's how things are. Sometimes I wonder what it would be like to work at a company that genuinely supports LGBTQ+ people, not just through rainbow branding, but in a way that allows you to be yourself without guesswork or performance. But to be frank, such companies are rare, and the competition for those roles is fierce. A more realistic path may be to build something of your own, to create a life where you don't need to self-censor. I have thought about it. If I could eventually make a living through creative work or a side business, would I feel freer? No more reports, no second guessing, no performative socializing. But I also understand that it's not an easy path. Reality doesn't necessarily forbid dreaming. It simply demands that you find a way to finance the dream first. What helped me get through this wasn't some great philosophy. Just a few friends who were willing to listen. Not with motivational cliches like, "You've got this." Just a quiet space for me to ramble. That alone was enough. Also, going to the gym truly helped. It became a sort of discipline. When the sweat starts flowing, the mind becomes quieter. It was a form of a physical escape, but also a simple act of self-care. Music and art helped too. They didn't solve my problems, but they gave my spirit some room to breathe. Every night, as I crawled into bed, I felt momentarily disconnected from the world. There was a strange mix of relief and sorrow. I thought I were hiding in a tiny fortress, shielded from all the noise of, "Why have you still not found a job?" I began to grow accustomed to a certain kind of solitude. No dialogue, no achievements, but at least I had myself. It was neither romantic nor tragic. It was simply a quiet process of learning how to sit with myself. This period of unemployment also led me to reflect deeply on the future. Do I want to build a family? Can I age alone? As a queer person, there is no default family structure to rely on. No marriage, no children, no socially endorsed safety net. All of that makes the later stages of life feel especially uncertain. So, to be honest, I'm anxious. And to be practical, much of that anxiety can be addressed with money. The more money one has, the less vulnerable one feels. So my current answer is this. Security comes from multiple income streams, flexible options, and having backups. A job is one kind of support, but it shouldn't be the only one. Life was never meant to be a single track. I'm not someone who is naturally articulate. I have little confidence in public speaking, but I have realized talking is a form of processing. Like right now, I'm turning all this confusion, loneliness, frustration, and reflection into a narrative. One with beginning, middle, and end. This program may not offer answers, but I hope it provides a sense of companionship. If you too are in transition, jobless, directionless, or simply trying to live your truth as a queer person, then we are in the same boat. This is not about preaching. It's about catching our breath together. Someone once asked me, if you were laid off again, what would you do? I suppose I would say this. It would still hurt, but I would recover more quickly, because I now know it's not the end of the world. One last thing I want to leave with you. Keep calm and carry on. It's not empty positivity. It's simply what I tell myself every day. If you have had a similar experience, or are currently unemployed, burned out, or trying to find your place in the world as a queer individual, you are welcome to write to me or leave a comment. I'd love to hear your story. Even if we have never met, I believe we speak the same language. I'm Cloud, and this is a chapter from my in-between life. Until next time.